This was a story that I shared with my GAPS Q&A club on our weekly call, and I thought some other folks might benefit from hearing it as well. This week was Mr. Body Wisdom's birthday, and we took a day off and we went on one of those rails to trails and rode our bicycles for 24 miles. And that was the longest bike ride either of us have ever done. And we were feeling just a lot of pleasure, and it wasn't that hard. And while we were riding, I was just feeling very free. And it reminded me of how not that many years ago, it wasn't even possible for me to engage in that kind of physical activity. So I was thinking back to one of the big moments for me when I was at the height of my adrenal fatigue and just overall depletion when I was early on GAPS. And I used to ride my bicycle around town to friends' houses, maybe to get a couple things from the store. But there was a stark moment where I couldn't do that anymore. I just didn't want to ride my bike. I had so little energy that all I was able to do was walk 10 minutes to get a couple groceries at the store. The thought of riding my bike was just too much. And during that time, I was just so exhausted. The only things that I could do for physical exercise were to drive in my car and go to restorative yoga, which, if you're not familiar, is a class where you literally lay on the floor using different pillows and blankets to prop you up in really gentle positions. And then you just stay there and breathe for like 3 to 5 minutes. And it was a really key piece to healing my nervous system, being able to go somewhere and relax like that. But over the course of a year and a half, I was that exhausted where I didn't really know if I would ever be able to be physically active the way that I had. And it was a turning point for me the day that I wanted to ride my bicycle again. There was just a moment where I felt like it, and that really stood out in my mind as I was on this really long bike ride. And we were talking about so many of our plans for the future, how many of them involve activities that we want to do, whether that be like water sports or doing more bicycling, going on hikes, spending more time in nature, and looking forward to having that type of activity in the rest of our life, which I had wondered if it would even be possible. And it's interesting to see how far I've come, but also how slow of a recovery that was. It's easy to kind of take it for granted now because I have so much energy and I feel like I can do whatever needs to be done in life. But at the beginning of GAPS, that wasn't the case for me. And it was, like I say, a year and a half before I even felt that urge to ride my bicycle. And I just went with that and let myself rest and recuperate and be nourished and reset my nervous system through many different practices that were really not intense. I didn't push myself. I just couldn't. I didn't have that in me. So if you're in that spot now, if you're early on in GAPS and that's what you're feeling, just know that this is possible for you. It's a bit of a slog. It might be slow, but you too can regain that energy. Whether you feel like you've ever had it or not, it is available if you just persevere and take the steps and get through all the boring parts of GAPS where you're just eating, sleeping, taking baths, doing the day-to-day things that we do. You can achieve this as well.